All right, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, right? Because the story about what the Democrats will do with their newfound power, well, that jumps ahead of, well, how much power do they have? Tonight, the narrative could be changing in 2 states that Trump won. The election is not over. So one of them is Arizona. There, you may remember, you have Democrat Kyrsten Sinema. She's now leading Republican Martha McSally in the battle for the Senate seat vacated by Jeff Flake. That was a long time in coming, all through the election night we were looking. We thought that the last big county, Maricopa County, really only had vote density left for McSally. Turns out that was wrong. In Florida, Governor Rick Scott holds a razor-thin lead in the Senate race. Now, listen to this. This is the latest turn. Scott is suing, alleging rampant fraud. He says Democrats are trying to steal the election. All right, we got the right panel for this tonight. Let's bring back MJ Lee, Manu Raju, and Charles Blow. Let's set this up, Charles, with what Rick Scott. Look, during election night, we were saying, I'm surprised. This was pretty clean. It's pretty clean race. Whatever happened, happened. There's none of the ugliness that we expected about the fraud, or what I call the Fugazi fraud. But now Rick Scott is making a play. Listen to what he said.
The people of Florida deserve fairness and transparency, and the supervisors are failing to give it to us. Every Floridian should be concerned there may be rampant fraud happening in Palm Beach and Broward counties.
Every resident should be concerned that there is rampant fraud going on in their communities. Not subtle.
Yeah, but prove it. I mean, that's what lawsuits are about, right? So now that you've moved it into the legal arena, you have to actually produce some proof, and he needs to prove that. What we see proof of is the exact opposite of what he's describing, which is actually voter suppression, not fraud. And so if he has this, I actually am very curious, and I'm interested in it. And as an American and as a voter, I want there 100%. To be no fraud.
Sure.
But I have yet to hear to have any of these Republicans who say that there's rampant fraud in America, including with the president, find proof of it. Prove it.
And everything about this is political, to point out the obvious. The fact that he is singling out Palm Beach County and Broward County, that is not a mistake. That is political. He knows very well that those are very heavily Democratic counties. So for him to go out there and now say there could be fraud, I think you're totally right. There has to be a little more meat on the bones. And Scott won both of his governor's races. I think it's worth us remembering, something like by a single percentage point. So it is not as though it is so ludicrous, this idea that he might be in a close race in the Senate race. He had tough races before, and he knows that too.
Now, when you hear this, Manu, you want to give the governor the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he knows something, maybe he'll bring it out, but then something else happens that really takes away from the benefit of the doubt. What is that? Same thing that always happens. The president just tweeted about it, put it up. Law enforcement is looking into another big corruption scandal having to do with election fraud in Broward and Palm Beach. Florida voted for Rick Scott. So once again, this is just everything that you shouldn't have in a tweet. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He could, right? He's got access to the best information and investigators in the government. He could find things out. That's not what he's doing. He's watching Fox. And he's saying, law enforcement, it's a scandal. He's calling it already. We don't know that. We don't know what the information is, and he's saying that Scott won. The impact.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Parscale, his campaign manager, also tweeted that it wasn't just Florida that was an effort of Democrats allegedly to steal the election, but also Arizona, without offering any proof of that. Now, the real issue is that there is significant concern within the Republican Party that these seats, particularly in Arizona, could go Democrat, and that was not the viewpoint. There's the conventional wisdom. After Tuesday night, I was talking to Republicans and Democrats tonight. They don't know where either of these races are going, and it is so significant. Each Senate seat, so significant. We could be talking about either a 54-46 Republican Senate or a 51-49 Republican Senate. That is a massive shift, and that also, depending on the margin, will make it easier or harder for Democrats to take back the Senate in 2020. That's why this is so significant how these play out in the next couple of days.
Political malpractice, what we just saw from Scott and the president?
Well, I think whenever you offer a statement or an accusation like that and you offer no proof of it, you are abusing your power and the bully pulpit that you get from the office. You are abusing the press in a way, because then we have to scurry around trying to figure out there's truth in it. This is just sucking away resources from all the other things that we could or should be shining light on. Television only has 24 hours in a day. People are asleep 8 of those hours. There's only so much you can focus on.
wish.
And then now, and he comes out, he says this, and now we have to take a part of this program. This is a tactic, right? This idea of using information as a not information, using
Suggestion.
falsehoods,
They're using suggestion.
conspiracies as a tactic, as a weapon.
Yes.
Is a tactic.
And look, it is. And look, we saw the White House press secretary put out InfoWars information. All right? I mean, that jackass on InfoWars, they took his video and wanted to use it. You don't need to know anything else. In fact, I think it's frankly a waste of time. If there's no proof, we only know what you show. Everything else is a scare tactic. I'm not going to waste your time. Manu, thank you very much. MJ, you're laughing at me. That's okay. It's a common experience. Charles, always good to see you, my friend.